Hi, I'm Robert Reil. My background is in precision systems, from Navy machinery repair to business systems analysis, where small unseen variables can create large downstream failures. That is also true inside a business, especially when the daily work feels familiar, but the real operating flow has never been mapped clearly. So let's look at what opportunity mapping reveals inside a business. Many business leaders believe they understand how their operations function because they built the company from the inside. They know the people, they know the customers, and they see the activity happening every day. But daily activity can create a false sense of control when the actual business operating system has never been mapped objectively. That is the first uncomfortable truth of opportunity mapping. The business people believe they are running is often not the same business the process map reveals. When the system is mapped clearly, surprising patterns begin to appear almost immediately. Tasks occur in unexpected order. Responsibilities overlap, and important steps may be missing entirely. This is why opportunity mapping matters. It reveals the hidden dynamics inside the business before leaders try to fix the wrong problem. Processes rarely remain static, even when the business owner thinks the company still works the way it used to work. As the business grows, employees naturally develop shortcuts to keep up with pressure, customers, deadlines, and gaps in the original process. Some shortcuts are helpful at first because they keep work moving when the formal structure is too slow or unclear. But over time, these shortcuts become invisible rules that no one writes down and no one reviews. The responsibilities emerge as the team changes and tasks begin shifting between departments without a clear handoff. A salesperson may start doing follow up that should belong to operations, while an admin may start fixing customer issues that should have been prevented earlier. In a small company, this feels flexible. In a growing company, it becomes risky because the system depends on memory, personality, and individual effort instead of clear structure. These changes are rarely documented, so leaders continue managing from an outdated picture of how the business works. Opportunity mapping exposes how the system actually operates rather than how leaders believe it operates. That is the first clarity reset. If the process is not visible, the leader is often managing a memory of the business, not the current business. Mapping the system creates a visual representation of operational flow, and that visual flow changes the conversation immediately. Instead of discussing vague frustration, the team can see where leads enter, where sales activities occur, and where orders move into fulfillment. Customers receive service at the end of that chain, but the quality of that service depends on every step before it. When these steps are documented, inefficiencies often become obvious because the business can no longer hide behind general impressions. Some tasks happen too late, which means the customer waits, the team reacts, and leadership mistakes urgency for productivity. Some tasks happen too early, which means people do work before the right information exists, creating rework later. Other tasks happen multiple times because two people think they own the same responsibility or because no one trusts the previous handoff. These inefficiencies are not just operational annoyances. They represent opportunities for improvement because every repeated task, late task, missing step, or unclear handoff shows where the business is leaking time, trust, or revenue. The breakdown usually starts with early signals that are easy to dismiss because they do not look serious yet. A team member asks the same question twice. A customer waits one extra day, or a manager has to remind someone about a step that should already be automatic. At this layer, the business still functions, so leaders often assume the issue is just communication or discipline. Then behavioral drift begins. People create workarounds because they want to get the job done, even when the system does not clearly support the work. One person uses a spreadsheet, another relies on memory, another keeps notes in messages, and yet another waits for verbal confirmation. The business now has multiple unofficial systems running beside the official process. That drift eventually creates system fracture because reporting starts losing meaning. The pipeline may say one thing, the team may know another thing, and the customer experience may reveal a third reality. Leadership loses visibility because the data no longer matches the work. Once that happens, the business begins making decisions from partial information, which is one of the most expensive forms of operational risk. The final layer is compound failure. Forecasting becomes unreliable. Decisions slow down. Follow-up weakens, and revenue opportunities quietly disappear because the business cannot see the process clearly enough to improve it. This is the second clarity reset. A hidden process does not stay neutral. It becomes a sort of drift, rework, and missed opportunity. If this kind of systems clarity is useful to you, this is probably a good time to subscribe, because that is really what this channel is built around. Once the system becomes visible, leaders can redesign processes intentionally instead of reacting to symptoms one problem at a time. Responsibilities can be clarified so each person knows what they own, where their work begins, and where their end hands off. Sequences can be simplified so the right actions happen in the right order, without premature work, delayed work, or unnecessary duplication. Technology can then support the improved structure instead of automating confusion. This order matters. When a business adds software before mapping the process, the tool often preserves the same unclear structure in a more expensive form. When the business maps first, the technology has something stable to support it. Before mapping, the business reacts to whoever notices the problem first. After mapping, the business can build a controlled path that shows what should happen, who owns it, and where improvement belongs. The organization begins operating with greater consistency because clarity has replaced assumption. Opportunity mapping gives leaders a clear understanding of their operational system, not just a list of disconnected problems. That visibility allows improvements to be made strategically rather than reactively. For a real estate business, the map may reveal that inquiries arrive from Facebook, referrals, and phone calls, but only some of them enter a trackable follow-up process. For a service business, the map may reveal that sales promises are not clearly connected to fulfillment capacity. For a growing team, the map may reveal that leadership is asking for accountability before the process itself has defined ownership. This is where opportunity mapping becomes more than a diagram. It becomes a decision tool because it shows which issues are symptoms, which issues are structural, and which improvements belong first. Inside the BizHackz framework, that is the value of diagnosing before building. The map tells us what belongs next, and just as importantly, what does not belong yet. Organizations often assume they understand their systems because they can see the daily work happening around them. But activity is not the same as structure, and familiarity is not the same as visibility. Until the system is mapped objectively, important patterns may remain hidden inside habits, shortcuts, assumptions, and informal handoffs. Clarity changes how businesses improve because it separates symptoms from structure. Once leaders can see the real operational flow, they stop guessing at solutions and start improving business in the right order. That is the point of opportunity mapping. It turns a business from something people are reacting to into something leaders can intentionally design. That is why the right path is not to guess, automate, or scale first. Map the system, find the leaks, and build in the right order. For more business systems clarity, follow the channel and keep building from the map, not from assumptions.